Susan Bean at Big Rapids Realty. Big Rapids Pennzoil and Auto Repair. Seth Winger at the Winger Insurance Agency. Barrington Firearms and Training Center. DW2 Drywall. Gilbert's Carpets plus Color Tile. The Monk Janowitz Funeral Home in Big Rapids and the Janowitz Family Funeral Homes in Remus, Lakeview, and Edmore. And Paris Auto Sales. All right, it is 8:35 here on B1039, time for Curries Corner. And here in the studio, we have Bruce Borkovich, Big Rapids Township Supervisor, and then we're guests, and we have the boss man on the line here. So we'll bring everybody in here.
Morning, Bob. You could have added, all-round great guy, manly man. Maybe the guardian of masculinity would be a good title for me. What do you think, Pat?
I love it.
Yeah,
man.
I think
you're
that's...
a humble guy. You're a humble guy.
I am. The only time
I'm
I will
bring this up.
ever talk about myself is if I think people are listening.
Right.
So,
Right.
but
the thing is that, I wanted to give you your full hour and a half here. So, any accolades that I would bring to you would take away from that time.
now, Bob, Pat's the one that goes hour and a half. We go an hour.
There you go. Yeah.
Morning,
when
Pat.
When are we going to be on here, boys?
We're on.
Well, hell, I want to introduce, live from Stuart, Florida, all the way from 103.9 FM in Big Rapids, right?
That would
Well,
work.
I tell you what, I like my travels. I met some very interesting, beautiful people down here in Florida, and they all have one thing in common. They love to live life its fullest. And by what I mean by that is it's happiness. They want to live a happy life. Most of these people are retired that I've talked to, and we talked about their life stories. I wish I could record them, but I can remember some of them. And when I get back live on your 103.9, I'll bring those stories up to you. I think I can remember if the mind doesn't fade away. But I also talked to a couple of gals in church Sunday morning, and I'll talk about her story too when I get back. These two little girls sat in front of me. The mother and the daughter first got there, and then the family of two children and their mother and dad came in. Young, they're in their 30s. Anyway, these two little girls, I thought they knew each other. They got to talking to each other during the Mass there quietly. They were very, very quiet. And they were hugging each other, and they were smiling at each other. So at the end of the Mass, I said to their mothers, I said, you folks know each other? And they goes, no. These two little girls go to school together? No. I said, well, do they know each other? Not until today. I says, we could learn a lesson. Adults could learn a lesson this morning. Instead of listening to the preacher, if they watch these two little girls, how comforting they were to each other, how happy they were with each other, and how they got along. If adults could act like these little children, maybe we should go back to our childhood days, huh? And get along. My God, they just smiling and sharing each other's little books. And it just, I thought, wow, what's wrong with us adults? The deception that's going on in the world today, to find each other instead of finding the good in each other.
Yep.
But, Bruce, I know you find good in a lot of things in life. I know right now you're enjoying your grandsons and daughter there, and I know you're really much involved with them, and you're going to be a good little hero to them as they grow up.
I hope
and
so.
we should all be that way.
I hope
But
so.
anyway, it's a lot of fun down here. I know I'm interrupting. I'll let you guys take off on your conversations for today. I just want to know, Bruce and Jason, Cruz is with you this morning. What's Bob look like? Does his hair look nice?
It looks good. It looks like he combed it with a rototiller.
Well groomed.
Eyebrow.
Yeah.
Good.
So, no.
Well, I love the guy, and I know he's got a radio face, and he's a beautiful man. I know that.
He's a good guy. I always enjoy, we can talk about things, and if we don't disagree, we smile and punch each other on the arm and move on to the next, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, my arm's sore. He's got a good punch.
But
Before
Pat,
I let you go, I just want to say, make sure everybody gets out and supports downtown this weekend, Saturday. They have a big parade, I believe, Saturday night, don't they, for the football team, Division II champions of the whole world.
Ring ceremony.
Tony Anise and his company is coming downtown, right? Parade?
That's my understanding. They have their ring ceremony and all kinds of stuff. And I can tell you this, Pat, the inside word from a few of the assistant coaches that I talk to occasionally, they shake their head and they say, we're going to be better this year than we were last year. So that's pretty exciting. Because they were decent last year. They weren't bad.
Oh, they produced a pretty good team, didn't they?
They were decent.
My hat's off to them. I just hope the community gets out and supports them. I know I won't be there. We'll be on our way back, though. I think we're going to leave Friday morning. Everything goes well here. I was going to leave Sunday, but, it's changed. My schedule's changed around a little bit there, so I got to be back. But anyway, it's been a great trip. The reason I asked you guys to be on here this morning is kind of, if there's any rumors floating around in the townships, maybe you can correct them and help people understand. I hope it's not too stressful for people what's going on right now. I know we won't talk about the Tonkin drain, but I'm just going to say this much. If you want to see it, don't go down there because I don't think it's flooding. I do feel bad for the people that have been flooding lately on the Muskegon River. That's terrible.
It's horrible.
Even down here, it's hit the national news in Miami here.
Yeah.
They've had a lot of coverage of Michigan weather up there. It's just unbelievable.
Yes.
So, when we think we got it bad, there's always somebody that's got it worse, and I pray for them.
Yep.
And then, anyway, so I'll let you guys go ahead and do your thing there and have a great show.
Well, thanks, Pat.
Thanks, Pat.
Yeah.
God bless.
Mm-hmm.
All righty.
Well, Bob, I've got Jason and I first shook hands and introduced and became friends, and we became good friends. So I've got a good friend here with me. And Jason,
thanks.
I introduced myself this morning as the guardian of masculinity. I think you and I could be the co-guardians because you're that kind of guy.
Could be.
And I hope our wives are
thought of it
listening
that way.
right now. And they just, sometimes when I say things, my wife gets all red in the face and she shakes her head. I think she's too proud of me to speak, And I think Dana is like that also. I think, with you,
for sure.
Just too proud to speak.
Well, sometimes she's not all that proud, though.
Really?
Well,
I think you're misreading that. If she has so much emotion because of her pride, you think it's anger or frustration. No, it's strictly pride in everything you say and do, especially those things you say.
For sure.
Yeah.
You always want to find where the borders are.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. So Jason, I'm going to just start off with just a real quick thing, and then let's switch it over to you to find out what's going on in Green Township. I attended a city commission meeting here a couple weeks ago and watched a presentation by a developer on a senior housing unit proposal in the old Handship building, and it seemed cool. It is everything I can see from watching the presentation is this is a really good thing for this community, and I know the city has been trying to sell that Handship property for a long time.
Sure.
And I'm thinking about how neat those be, especially those apartments that face the river, and there's so much they could do.
It'll
there.
be great.
Yeah.
I'm sure happy for the city to have that addition and to move our area along. It's going to be nice.
What about this place called Green Township? What's going on?
No, that place.
Yeah.
Well, I kind of wanted to. Today, there's a few things that are happening. Obviously, our court case with Goshen came out of the Sixth Circuit Court. I'm sure a lot of people are wondering what's happening with those proceedings, and we're just mainly waiting to see what exactly the district court, how they would like to proceed. There's been a lot of talk out there, obviously, that they've requested that we submit some briefs on both sides and
disposition. Which basically, cut to the chase, because I'm not an attorney. The court wants to hear from both sides. Here's how we want to end it.
And because it's been an ongoing for such a long time. It's been on everybody's desk, and it's just been sitting there. So not just sitting there. I think they've been doing the research, those types of things. But yeah, that's where we're going to start out. We're thinking maybe the court might want to have an introductory meeting again, just rehome everything and get the court case going after we submit those briefs. So yeah, I mean, everything's up in the air with that at this point. So yeah. Our lift station had gotten stalled a little bit.
Okay.
We were hoping to break ground this year. However, install a new lift station. The board's been looking into options on that. The problem is that we first designed the lift station, the new lift station, underneath an old set of Eagle standards, and so what happened is because the Eagle changed their requirements and standards, we had to redo some of the planning with our lift station, which required us to up our pumps at our pumping capacity, which we were already over capacity. We pump. How do I want to word this? We pump well under capacity of our pumps. And so our pumps are way bigger than what they need to be already. However, the new standards for Eagle require us to have even bigger pumps. And with those bigger pumps comes other power requirements. So now we are into a new generator and those types of things. So working through, I guess, new standards with Eagle. And so we're not dead with that. And actually, I just had a phone call with Wade Trim, who is our engineering firm, and they're helping us through these things. And it was very good, positive. We're getting to the end of getting all the information that they need so we can proceed.
Excellent. You and I had talked a little bit about taxes, property taxes. And, until I got this job, I was really ignorant as to,
For sure.
I saw the taxes and wrote the check, but really didn't know much about how they're broken down. And you're gonna specifically talk about some information in Green Township, but I wanted to give the listeners a introduction to what these property taxes mean, because many people think when they pay their property taxes, they're paying it to the township, and the township gets money, and the township is the vehicle for distributing those taxes. So there's two different rates probably everywhere in Michigan, because it has to do with homestead and non-homestead properties. And in a homestead property, when taxes come in, 63.9% of them go to the schools. That's just the general public schools. And then almost 11% go to the ISD, the Intermediate School District. So 74% of those taxes go to the school. So people think, my goodness, the township's got to be so rich because, we pay so much in property taxes, or this new business came in and pays all this in property taxes. And obviously a big part of that goes to schools. MODA, the Transportation Authority, gets a percent. EMS gets 0.7%. The fire mill, 3.3%. Township roads, 3.3%. And the library, 0.4%. For non-homestead properties, 40% schools. I don't know if I mentioned the county operating mill. They get 12.7%.
Sinking
so
fund.
That's yes, exactly. Those numbers are a little different for at 40% schools, county operating 20, ISD 18%, MODA 1.9, EMS. The rest of them are. But the township operating costs, or what we receive to operate the township with a homestead property, is 2.7%. And with a non-homestead property is 4.5%.
What?
So, yeah.
What?
I don't see a shocked look on your face, but I think it's important for people to, especially people just paid taxes not too long ago, and I think it's important for people to know that the townships are really the vehicle to receive the money and distribute the money, that we get very little of that for our actual operating cost.
Oh, that's I appreciate all those percentages, and in all those items that you listed are actually listed on the tax bill for everybody when they get their annual tax bill, summer or fall. And and then if you look, there's other pertinent information on those tax bills that you can find, like office hours are normally listed on your tax bill, where to pay, when to pay. And that would bring me to the three things that I wanted to just touch base on regarding revenues. And so taxes are one part of a revenue base for operation. And the next one would be something that they call constitutional revenue sharing from the state of Michigan. Pardon me. And the last one would be miscellaneous revenues that make up the township budget. And I'm going to pick on Green Township here because I'm most familiar with it. But going back to taxes, I would say that the first thing that we need to be aware of is the full taxable value of the township. Okay, the full taxable value of the township actually comes off of a form they the 4029 L 4029 form, and all townships and cities and cities like such villages, they all have to submit this, and it's normally done around September is when we actually do the L 4029 form, and it's ratified by the board. The board approves it. What it does is it gives us two numbers that we need to be aware of, and the general public, it's on records. The general public could take a look at it, but it's not really necessary. But the I wanted to kind of point out is the full taxable value, like for Green Charter Township, is $126,087,061. Okay.
So that's the value of the properties within Green Township.
Yeah,
residential, commercial, or vacant.
Everything. So it's all grouped together. This is set by the state of Michigan. Okay, and we have a mill. We have a mill off of the tax that we take and collect off of taxes to run the township. And so we operate, and some people have heard this, we operate off 1.25 mil, all right? And that's adjusted through something that's called the Headley Amendment. And that happened a while ago, and that helps us. That helps the average person so we don't have to keep on getting these inflated rates. But that does jack around the amount of money that it comes into the township on an annual basis. And I'm not going to get in the minutia of that. You just need to be aware of it. The next number is the millage requested to be levied. And so there's a specific number, and ours just happens to be 1.12345 on a Green Charter Township. And so what you do is you divide that number by the taxable value, and that gives us about $155,000. So out of the full taxable value of the township only holds $155,000. Now, these are rough numbers,
and
Bob, but, you can see the difference here. We don't make a lot of money off the taxes.
What was the number of the value of all the properties?
Yeah, let's just say $126 million. Yeah. And out of $126 million, we keep about $155. And for people that are listening to this at the start of the conversation, this will make more sense on full revenue. I'm not going to get into the of everything. We're going to keep it high level, but I'm just saying that with taxes, that's what we get. So I did bring some comps, though, Bruce.
Nice. So
you know what I mean by a comp, Bob? And I'm sure a lot of people wouldn't know this, but a comp is a comparable property. So what I wanted to share with your audience today is what's a comparable property in Green Charter Township and how much taxes that I pay out. Because, Bruce, you mentioned that earlier, that we only keep a certain percentage of all these different areas. So what, like let's say commercial, for example. I have a comp here from a well-known area. I'm not going to name who it is. I'm not going to name any names here. But let's just say like a large area for a commercial area with a business on it, and they're a tax-paying business. Let's say they pay $100,000 in taxes, okay? And out of that $100,000 in taxes that they pay yearly to the township only keeps roughly $3,000 of those taxes. Let that sink in.
That aligns with those percentages that I read.
So what I'm trying to say here right now is like this comp is one of the larger ones in the township, and the township only takes that much tax revenue to help offset the millage rate. Okay, let's say here's another comp for you, Bob.
Get ready, Bob.
Ready? Here we go. Okay, let's just say, for example, let's go to residential. Okay, in the residential area, the house is a larger area, larger house, some land. And let's say, and people out there, or the listeners, are going to kind of resonate. This should resonate with you because you'll know how much taxes you're paying, right? And how much you can kind of relate to how much the township keeps out of your taxes. So let's say we're paying up to $9,000 residential property in taxes, because we do have some people, some residents that pay that. And out of that $9,000, the township keeps $500.
Yeah.
$500.
Yeah.
Let's say that, and that was like an uncapped property. All right. So let's say we have another capped property, and that would be capped by the Headley Amendment,
Which means the property hasn't been sold in a while. When it is guaranteed to stay at a certain level, only can increase a maximum of 5%. That's either the rate of inflation or a rate not to exceed 5% a year. And that doesn't change unless the house sells. So if it was originally assessed at, this value, it's taxed at that value. If the house sells, it uncaps, and then it goes way up.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Does that make sense, Bob, or is everything good? Okay. What do you think about all this? This is a lot of information. I don't want to, small bites.
And more important, it makes sense to everyone listening in B1039.
Oh, there we go.
Isn't that Jen trained me that you have? Don't
You're
just
good
do
at
it
that.
cold.
You're good.
Transition in. Yeah.
Go ahead,
WBZX Big Rapids. That's what we need to say.
There's the filler. There we go.
Yeah, but we need to say that closer to the top of the hour. But it's okay now. If we say it closer to the top of the hour, the federal government is happier.
Go ahead, Jason.
So
is Jen, because she has to, she has to answer to the federal government.
There we go.
Yeah, that's another. Yeah, okay. We weren't going there.
So let's just take this other property, this other comp that I have for the listeners. Let's say you're paying, around $2,000 of uncapped now. We're capped, not uncapped. We're capped, meaning the Headley Amendment is in action. Out of the $2,000, the township keeps about $100. That's it. Out of that $2,000.
Wow.
That you're paying. And the last one I've got for you, here's another uncapped, kind of a smaller piece of property that once again I'm still capped. It's been capped for an awfully long time for the Headley Amendment, and we're roughly around like $1,800 worth of taxes a year. We're keeping about $70.
Wow.
So these are some caps and stuff regarding caps and uncapped properties and commercial properties, where you can see that the millage and the 1.25 mil that the township has regarding this portion of our budget revenue is very, 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 very low, and it's kind of irrational. We're not quite sure. Each year this stuff is adjusted, so we don't know until we actually get to a certain part of the year and how much we're going to get. So that's my spiel on taxes, very high level. Does it sound okay to you, Bob?
It sounds fine, yeah. I mean, once again, tell people what a millage is, because I think when I moved here, I heard the word millage.
Yes.
And I'm thinking, okay, there's a mill down on the river, and we got to pay to keep the mill going.
Doesn't it sound like that?
That's probably the origin of the word, but,
It's just, I would just say, highlight. Do you want to take that, Bruce, or do you?
Well, first of all, millages are elected by the people.
Yes.
Right. Okay.
And they have to be established and elected by the people. And as a general rule, a mill means for every $1,000 of real value, $1 is collected.
Okay, so it's 1 out of 1,000.
Yeah.
1 out of 1,000.
Yeah.
1 mil. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Back in New York, it was per $100,000 of assessed valuation.
Yes.
That was a fancy term that they use, but it's kind of proportional.
Yeah, and it's the real value.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
yeah. But Jason, that really helps to have you go through some commercial properties and then residential properties and cut right down to this is what the township actually gets. So the township is a vehicle, is a mechanism to collect those revenues and distribute them to where they're earmarked.
And with that, you got to pave all the roads and everything.
Well, I can get to that in a second here, Bob.
Finish your thoughts here.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So the next one that I wanted to talk about is state revenue share. And a lot of people aren't aware of state revenue share. And basically, this is money that's doled out to the state, or from the state, rather, to our townships and villages and those types of things. And it's based on taxation. So it's sales tax that's collected out of the 6% sales tax through the state. The only problem is this is how it's collected. It's made up of not just 6%, it comes out of the 6%, but it's actually, ready for this? It sounds like a boss hog thing.
Okay.
Okay. It's percent of the 4% of the 6%.
Oh, boy.
You know, I don't know how many people have watched Dukes of Hazzard back in the day, but, you know, Boss Hog was always cutting.
Oh, he was.
You know, for your share. So, you know, I mean, we have, you know, we get 15% of that, and that's distributed throughout the whole. Now, think about this: out of the whole state, they're funding all these villages, townships for the state revenue share. This is what they call constitutional.
Yep.
Okay, and Green Township normally collects. You know, I mentioned, you know, on the state revenue share, we normally collect about $300,000. I mean, there's more. If you go back in our budget, you can take a look at the finite numbers, but. You know, we're operating somewhere on that Green Charter Township budget on revenues that are about $400,000 and some to run the whole township for a year. And it may seem like a lot to a lot of people, but when you start, like you said, roads, road projects, but road projects do or don't have to be funded each year by the township, Bob. So all you have to do is, you know, we have to run elections.
Right.
We have to have the board meetings. All right, we have to maintain any kind of properties that we have.
Sure.
So that's
cemeteries,
and those types. And the more you have, and more parks, and the more cemeteries you have, the bigger drain it is on the township, and it makes it hard to do all the things that, you know. I get a lot of questions from people out there. They say, why don't I have my roads fixed?
Right.
Well, we
that's usually that's why I said question one is, you know, why isn't my road paved, or why isn't it groomed, or why is it oiled every year, or whatever.
I hate it myself.
Grind.
Fix the beat.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
Well, you know, I mean, we want to. I mean, but that's a conversation that the townships have between the commission and the townships, because the road commissions are so underfunded.
Right. Yeah.
You know, and I feel for them, because we're living in a big county, and there's a ton of roads out there that they either have to grade, brine, or just pave or repair, replace. And so there's, you know, they normally request from the township that wants some work done that we kick in. Yeah. So I mean, when you build your budget at the start of the year, and you lay it all out, there's really not a lot of meat left on the bone for those other extra projects, which, you know, I mean, I have some theories and some ideas on how to cut the budget so we could get more money in our general fund to do roads. But I mean, that requires board action. I'm just one guy on a board.
And we have a road mill in Big Rapids Township.
That's so helpful, isn't it?
That helps. Now, it doesn't provide for maintenance of every single one of the roads in the township. We partner with the county road commission here. We have a great relationship, and we work closely with them to find out what they're going to do and then what we can do to kind of supplement that.
Sure.
So we have X amount of money to spend each year, and we have to decide as a board, what are our priorities partnering with the county.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You know, everybody thinks economic development is the greatest thing in the world, and it is, because you have to have that for your area. You know, we've fought this out in this community over, obviously, recently the Goshen stuff. We've fought
just a little.
Yeah, just a little, and we fought this out with other projects in the area, and you need to understand that when the township brings a project into the township like this, it has to be approached very carefully. And that's why we have our rules and regulations in place. You know, you have your zoning commission, we have our zoning commission, and there's the building department, those types of things. And those are oversights to make sure that the community isn't hurt in any way. Hurt comes in two different ways. One is the people that live in the area. We don't want to do harm to those people. Yep. All right. The second one is hurt comes in an entirety. Well, I would say three different ways. Environmental, if there's an environmental problem, and then the third one would be of the township. So you always have to be aware of those three elements when you're bringing economic development in. And what I mean by hurt to the township is, can the township support the services that are required by the entity that's coming into the township? And so forethought needs to be had all the time, not just environmental, but it could be detrimental for the township just to bring something in if it's not a proper fit. And if we haven't identified where those revenues are going to come from to support roads, to support water, to support sewer, all that stuff. So I digress. It looks like you want to say something. I don't know.
No, not at all. That's super. And I just want to point out that because I think based upon the state's recognition of me as supervisor being the guardian of masculinity in our township, $425,000 in state revenue sharing. Of course, I'm being not about being the guardian of masculinity, but we get that those formulas are based on population.
100%.
All right, well, before we go to the next thing, why don't we do something else that Jen likes, that's take care of our sponsors.
That's a great idea.
Our sponsors like that, too. So we're going to take a time out here on Curries Corner, back with more with Bruce and Jason right here on B1039.
Dale I've known for many, many years, and I tell you what, when somebody needs some help, he's there. Just like your typical Mecosta County resident, Dale Whaley is a good man. So if you're ever looking for a drywaller for free estimate, call Dale. I'm telling you, you're going to be happy with his work. I have recommended Dale to a lot of people, and you know what the greatest compliment I've ever gotten is thanks for sending Dale. He did a great job for me. Guy's just fantastic. Just not only is a drywaller with DW2 drywalling, but just a great person. It doesn't hurt to have him come into Curry's either. There's just so many good things about Dale. He's just a great American, and give him a call, DW2 Drywall at 231-679-0475. 231-679-0475. Dale Whaley is DW2 Drywall. Greatest guy on drywalling end of it.
My name is Drew, and I'm 6 years old, and Sue Bean is my Giga.
Giga has worked with all kinds of people, helping them find the home of their dreams.
Giga is also my grandmother. She loves working with adults who are serious about finding a piece of property that suits their needs.
Giga drives us everywhere. She's pretty sweet, but the best path she drives is getting you to the closing table.
Sue Bean, Big Rapids Realty, 231-580-9546.
That's 231-580-9546. Or email her at sbean@bigrapidsrealty.com.
Come on, Betsy, just one more mile. Is your car still out? It's in the middle of a blizzard. The Spring into Something Better event going on now at Paris Auto Sales. Winter is over, and your frozen solid commute should be too. Stop apologizing to your passengers and upgrade to a ride that actually knows it's 2026. Come check us out at our north or south locations. Paris Auto Sales, your used car center of Big Rapids.
Paris Auto Sales, we work for you.
When the time comes to say goodbye, you need a funeral home that understands your family's needs. The Monk Janowitz Funeral Home in Big Rapids and the Janowitz Family Funeral Home in Remus have been a trusted part of this community for generations. They do take care of every family like their own, and they hear it time and time again.
My name is Christina Beers. I would say there's lots of funeral homes in the area, but there's only a small few that can do it with class and with quality and with that personal touch and care. And I would put Janowitz Family Funeral Home at the very top of that list.
Let them help guide you through a challenging time with care, respect, and compassion. The Monk Janowitz Funeral Home in Big Rapids and the Janowitz Family Funeral Home in Remus. Local, professional, and here for you when it matters most. The Janowitz Family Funeral Home, now also serving Lakeview and Edmore.
I'm Seth Wenger from Wenger Insurance. For more than 100 years, we've been providing professional service and competitive insurance to West Michigan. Come visit us on Perry Street in Big Rapids or give us a call at 796-778. We're here for you now, and we'll be here when you need us most. 796-0778.
Where do you go for Michigan's #1 concealed pistol license course? the same place thousands of Michigan residents have over the past 15 years, the Barrington Firearms Training Center. The BFTC conducts state-certified CPL courses right here locally inside the Barrington Conservation Club at 3444 18 Mile Road in Barrington. For just $99, all you need to bring us is your Michigan ID to these all-inclusive one-day CPL courses, which include the use of firearms, ammo, eye and ear protection, coffee and donuts in the morning, and lunch at noon. That's right, just $99 gets you everything needed to take the police department instructed course that includes the training necessary to safely load, unload, handle, and store your firearm. Students will also be trained on when it is legal to defend themselves with a firearm under Michigan's Stand Your Ground law and Castle Doctrine. Call 1-250-7257 or go online at michigancpltraining.com to register for one of their upcoming $99 all-inclusive CPL courses. Get armed, get trained at the Barrington Training Center.
Hooked at Curries.
Pete, why do you come to Curries? I go in there for breakfast every single morning, Pack, except the week. Well, on Sunday. I usually go to church. But I love that scrambled egg, bacon, and toast. Homemade.
We were just so busy talking off the air that we forgot what's happening on the air.
It's incredible, the things we talk about.
Yeah, well, we can bring some of that on the air, and we will, coming up right now on Curries Corner on B1039, Bruce.
Thank you, sir. Jason, we're going to change channels here, more township stuff. Many people won't know what this is. Some have heard of it and don't really know what it is. Some think they know what it is, and they don't know the impact. But we're going to talk about what is a township master plan. So the definition of a township master plan, it's a long-term, typically 10 to 20-year policy document. Guides future growth, development land within a township, and it provides the legal foundation for zoning ordinances. Very important. I'll repeat that. It provides the legal foundation for zoning ordinances. So what we want, Jason's going to talk about how these are done, and it's very important, as he gathers this information, because they're redoing theirs, which is required every so often. Mm-hmm. But what's important is master plans seek the input of the community in the jurisdiction, in a community outside of the jurisdiction. So if Big Rapids Township is redoing our master, we're going to talk to the city, the county, other townships, owners, business owners, and basically it's to establish what are the priorities and protections, and what do we want to see for land use, so that it protects a new board from coming in and doing what they want. These decisions aren't about the board. The board is representing the people, and the board administrates the will and the direction of the people. So the reason we're paying very close attention to it, because I've talked before about we're working hard to develop a data center ordinance. And when I do that, I can't come up with what Bruce Borkovich wants or what I think the board wants for these land use rules in our township. This is established in our master plan, which I think ours goes till 2035. Mm-hmm. So with that introduction, Jason, I think it's perfect timing, because as I understand it, you guys are doing your required renewal of your master plan.
Well, actually, it's not really necessarily a renewal. We're actually creating it. And so from scratch, because we put our zoning commission together. Yes. And so after we put our zoning commission together, and it was adopted by the board, we have so much time that the new board gets to enjoy while they create their master plan for the community. And with the community, it is a master plan for the community, because what we do is we survey the community. And all this stuff is going to be logged in the master plan, and we collect data, and that takes time, so you need to have some time. We also have to survey the nearby areas, like you mentioned, Bruce, so that we get input from surrounding counties or townships. So they are aware of what we want to do with our community, and they have time, they have a chance to chime in on it, so we get a input on that. We also just do an overall study of our zone. We make sure that we have our zoning in proper places, that we know how we want our community to develop. And once again, this is all derived from those surveys that went out, or the one survey actually that went up. It has a bunch of information in it, and we use that, and obviously planned board meetings that are open to the public. They can put it so the public can come in and they can chime in and let them know their thoughts. So it's supposed to be a very engaged project, and the more input we get from the community, good input, that makes our master plan much more solid. And it also allows us to know exactly, like you said, moving forward, if there is a zoning adjustment, is that zoning adjustment appropriate to the master plan?
That's it. That's what's required by law.
And you have to, we didn't have a master plan per se. We had a few areas designated where we wished to have some sort of a build-up, whether it be commercial, agricultural, or whatever. It wasn't specifically identified. Now through this process, it'll be identified, and it's coming around pretty quickly, and that will allow us to really grow, and everybody will be able to understand, like, hey, this is where the growth is going to happen. This is how this is going to happen. So it protects everybody. It's super important.
Jason, how is your response from your survey? Is it predictable? I'm sure there's formulas out there that says, 20, 30, 40, 60% of the people respond. Any idea how your response is?
Everybody, the general population wants growth, 100%.
Right, but I mean, how many people are responding? What are your percentages?
Oh boy, you're really digging on me here.
I know. Because I could anticipate it because of what's happened in the last couple of years. I could anticipate Green Township people paying a little closer attention than maybe people in other townships.
Right.
But do you have a guess at what the response rate is?
I really wouldn't comment right now because it's been a little bit. We had two different surveys. We're all done collecting now.
Okay.
Yeah, we've gotten the. So in order to do this process, we hired a firm. This is normally what you do.
Yes.
And then what they do is they run third party, collects the data from and puts on this survey, and that protects township residents and their input. From anything that could possibly happen from a biased board. If a biased board could come in and they said, we want to do this, we want to do this with the community, and we'll just collect the data, and then we'll put it in, and then maybe they can data.
Because everyone has those unconscious biases.
Right.
If there's bias to go with a company, because let's say in Big Rapids Township, we decided to run our own survey on data centers. And let's say Bruce Borkovich designed the survey, and I'm going to use a ridiculous example, but Bruce Borkovich said, hey, we want to know how you feel about these dirty, rotten, dangerous, awful data centers. Do you support them or not? Obviously you want that professional, objective, unbiased third party to conduct the survey and gather the information. And also, that master plan keeps a guy like Bruce Borkovich from saying, hey, what do you guys think about these dirty, rotten, no good SOB data centers? Because it doesn't matter what I think as we create this ordinance. I'm required by law to follow the master plan. And in Big Rapids Township, the master plan clearly states that we need to protect the rural, agricultural, and recreational nature of the town.
Sure.
That is, if you could it's a big document, but put it into one, that's what it says.
Well, it's a fascinating document to read, too. I've read several of the other townships out there, their master plans.
Yeah.
Yes.
I thought I got it, too.
Yep. And then, the beautiful thing about our is this. It's a collective thought. So if there is any one person, like, let's say I'm a supervisor, there's an oversight, a board of trustees put together to make sure I don't go rogue, or anybody else on the board rogue.
Yes.
So, like, same thing with our planning commission. We put bunch of great people on our planning commission, and they have very good insight. And pardon me, boy, my voice here
it's the sinuses.
It's that time of year.
21 day and 70 the next day.
I'm not Bob. Bob does it really well. I try to do my best.
Oh, you don't know. I sniffle year round.
Yeah.
So, but it's like the planning commission I was getting to. We have Brett Mason, who is our zoning administrator, and he has a board, and the board oversees any big project. He doesn't have to make one call.
Yes.
You know, I mean, this is how our government's set up, and it's really fascinating work. And then you put documents on top of that, and the documents are guidelines. So you have to have that stuff in place, and overall that protects. That's what slows it up.
It is. Yeah.
And you know what? Sometimes, a lot of times, we'll make waste.
Absolutely.
And so you move hastily in some situations. You can, right? Sometimes you can.
Sometimes you have to.
But when you're talking large amounts of people, you probably want to move a little bit slower, and that's okay. Let's get into God's pace.
The Bible even talks about haste.
Yes.
And those decisions made in haste. And, you know, something I struggle with all the time because I was a member of an assistant team leader on a drug team for 7.5 years.
Yeah.
And I hate to every day make split-second decisions that impact the people's freedoms and their liberties, that could impact their life. When we're knocking a door down, executing a drug search warrant, you got to make split-second decisions, and I got very used to doing that. And sometimes I have to force myself to slow down.
Same
because
here.
Those decisions made in haste are not good. But you know, this whole concept of master plan and gathering information from the community reminds me, Bob, that the community is listening to B1039 WBZX. That's a pretty smooth one.
There you go. I like it.
That wasn't bad, right?
You get the gig.
That wasn't bad.
So you want to come in and play some records later?
Well, I'm just going to formally ask Jen to double my pay.
Okay.
So we'll
put another zero.
You aim high. Yeah. Thank you, Bob.
In which direction?
Yeah.
That's a village rate for There's another zero on your salary. Yeah.
We're in Big Rapids Township. We're every 5 years we're supposed to review our master plan. Takes a look at it, see if things need to be adjusted. Ours, I really give credit to whoever our master plan, whoever was the driving force. It could have been Bill Stanek, and Bill did a lot of good things in the township. Because the way it was created and drafted is the first page of our master plan. Mm-hmm. It's a view of our township in 2035. And it goes through and it says, here's what I see as I drive around and as I look and everything. So the master plan put all these protections in that are supposed to make Big Rapids Township look a certain way in 2035. Right. I thought that was very creative. I really like the way it's done. Everyone does them differently, but are you consulting with a company to do this?
Yep, our third party company kind of helps us through this process, make sure our wording's correct, and make sure our document is in line with law.
Yep,
and you kind of have to have that. You have to have that, and so it just helps out because having a third party, it takes a lot of liability off the township.
Yeah.
Make sure everything's fair, and so that's what we want to do.
Well, the nature of township boards is that, and it's a really neat model, but did you go to school to be an elected official, a planning official, an assessor, a land expert, a tax expert? Most of us are just regular people.
I have my citizenship merit badge.
That's it. Yes.
So
that's about it. Most of us, our boards are made up of regular people from all different careers. If you would have told me that I would have fallen into the pit, into the quagmire of waste, of effluent waste that I'm in right now, becoming an elected official, if you would have told me that 5 years ago, I would have laughed and I said, what are you smoking?
You're such a politician, Bruce.
Yeah,
you're such a politician.
Yeah, that is you and I are good friends, and that's the worst thing you've ever said to me. But But no, but all joking aside, you come into this job typically, maybe in the big cities, on city commissions and in the townships in the big cities, they get more people professionally developed with better expertise. But typically out in these rural areas, it's just concerned, caring people who want to make a difference. They each bring different perspectives, which is really valuable. But what else is really valuable, they're just regular people.
They are.
And that's who we are representing. I think that's what makes township boards so valuable, is that we fight hard not to work in a vacuum. We fight hard to be transparent and to represent what people are interested in. So any more thoughts on your do you have an anticipated complete, boy, I'm pinning you down with some stuff.
Yeah, go for it.
Completion date or for your master plan?
We want to do it as quickly as possible and get it wrapped up here.
Talk about a politician.
I know it. I know. But, we want to make sure that we can keep moving the process along. We've been engaged for a while. There's been a lot of conversation regarding it. And so, it's very good information. I think sometimes you let it soak and everybody talks about it. The ideas come out. You let it soak a little bit more. And then the ideas kind of formulate, they get solid, and then, okay, let's move forward now.
Yep.
So,
and then, Jason, I'm trying to think of the process. Once you have that draft done that you think is good, you'll have a public hearing.
Sure will.
And then people can come in and comment on it. And then if you and the Planning Commission think adjustments need to be made because of that, you'll do that. Mm-hmm. And then eventually a final draft will come to the board for adoption.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent.
Yeah, we'll post it online. Yeah. And we'll have it available in the office, so we'll announce it's coming.
Yeah.
And available for people to review. There'll be a lot of information. But basically, like you said, Bruce, it talks about the community. Yeah. And then not only talks about the direction that we want the community to go and grow, but it's also backed up by information collected in that survey. And so you'll hear from residents also on exactly why they want or what they want to see. So it's important for sure. And we were looking forward to having that completed here very shortly. That will allow us to really look at growth in the community and the area a lot harder and with a lot more accuracy. But I wanted to touch on the flooding. And I was out looking at the flooding, and we did get a lot. We got a great big drink of water here lately.
We certainly did.
And unfortunately, Green Township was hit pretty well in some main areas. And I just wanted to acknowledge what a great job our firefighting department did, and Captain Steve Schroeder has done with keeping me in touch with what was going on in the community and in the different areas and of the township, not only the township but the county. The alert system that we use, that's great. If people need to get on the alert system, I recommend that you do that just in case if it's not flooding, if it's some other major problem in the area.
And they do that by submitting their cell number.
They have
the township has to have their cell number.
Yes,
right? We don't sell them to solicitors or anything.
No.
But we have a text alert system in Big Rapids Township that it's funny. You want to use it a lot, but you have to be careful of information pollution. So if we were to do things like in the text system saying, we're going to have 4 sunny days this week, but watch out for storms this weekend, we're overloading, we're desensitizing the public, and then suddenly they're not paying attention. So we use it sparingly, but it's a valuable tool for us for communicating with the public. And you mentioned the fire department. Both Green Township and Rapids Township are served by the Big Rapids City Department. We did this about a year ago or so in Big Rapids Township. We had a good, hard-working, professional, volunteer, part-time paid, but that model just it's difficult to make that work in the year 2026. And so the board, through lots of negotiations and contract development, we decided to turn our fire and medical first response services over to the city. And Steve Schroeder, the chief there, and his crew have done a really good job. The bottom line is, I know that this decision did ruffle a few feathers, but the bottom line is our residents are getting better, quicker service than they were before. To no fault, this isn't pointing fingers or faulting our township crew, but the very nature of a part-time paid volunteer department is that firefighters over here working this job, they get the call, you know, maybe they're wrenching on a car at a mechanic's shop and they don't hear the first call or whatever, and then, you know, when they get it, they've got to leave work and they've got to go all the way wherever to our fire department at the township hall, get their gear, and in their, you know, in their personal vehicle, get their gear and then respond. And having a full-time, professional, well-trained fire department 24/7 to handle those calls makes us a safer community.
Well, I'm also really pleased on the work that the counties are doing. The county commissioners are doing with the EMS, you know, and expanding that. And so, I really feel that there's a lot of positive things. You know, that call, you know, dissolving a township volunteer fire department is something that just isn't in Big Rapids Township. It's all over.
It's happening nationwide.
Because we just don't have the people that want to be involved. And
that's the other dynamic is recruiting. It isn't a bash on a new generation. It's the reality of the nature of the new generation that there just aren't very many people interested in coming and doing the job. And, you know, I grew up with the old school. These guys lived and breathed. They would do anything, the old timers, for their they volunteered so many hours, and they would risk their lives, you know, to come out and help someone, whether it's a fire or a car accident or whatever. And it isn't that the younger generation doesn't care. They don't have the numbers. It's literally do not have the numbers interested in doing it. So the trend is away from the volunteer, you know, part-time paid to the full-time service.
It's a sad situation because you like community involvement, and I've talked to several other communities around, you know, in the western side of the state where I'm from, you know, and then other conversations I've had with communities from around the state, just from different meetings and such, and they all say the same thing. If they have a volunteer fire department, we just can't get the people. They just can't do it. So they're everybody, and you know what? And since that change has been made, not to knock anybody, but I've had several people in the area, in Green Township area, say, "Hey, you know, we have gotten such great service from the Big Rapids Fire Department. They're very happy, you know." And so that change has been a positive change. Not that they weren't getting the care they weren't needed to before, but and for all those volunteer firefighters have put themselves out, and even the training, Bruce. They want. It's amazing because some of these people, like the volunteer fire department, some of these guys have to get trained just in handling like inner city stuff, and they're out. You know, the training's all over the place, and it's expensive, and they can't give the time for it. So it really is a problem. There's got to be some adjustment there, and I'm probably touching on stuff I shouldn't.
No, but it's a great topic because it was a controversial topic in our township. There were people who were resistant to it. We ended up getting pretty good support. But as we near the end of this, just wanted a real quick update on data centers because it continues to be such a hot topic. We have state legislators looking at moratoriums or bans. We have the federal government looking at moratoriums and bans. Just to recap, in Big Rapids Township, number one, there are no planned data centers. The rumor was going around.
Oh, was it? I didn't hear that one.
The reason our board is addressing is because we've had someone approach us, and that's not the case. So we did our research. I did a white paper on data centers to educate people on data centers. Then we drafted a temporary ordinance to place a moratorium. So in Big Rapids Township, effective here, I don't know, a month or so ago, no developer may start or develop a center for a year. We have 2 6-month extensions if necessary, which gives us the chance to build our ordinance. That's why we did it. Then we had a public hearing that was pretty well attended here a few weeks ago to get input from the public, and now I'm in the process of starting to create the ordinance. So that's just kind of, but you know, there are things that concern most citizens. The electrical demand is incredible. It's almost hard to articulate to people, especially for a mega center. These servers that are all, thousands of them all stacked tightly together, create a tremendous amount of heat. That heat needs to be dissipated, and that's, unless new technology is out there, I don't know about, that's done with water. And boy, in this county, are we a little bit careful and edgy and nervous about water? We are. We've got beautiful lakes. We've got the Muskegon River. We have trout streams. We have the watershed. And I'm going to, because I do have an appointment, I'm going to kind of close as people about. And Jason,
can I
give
two thoughts?
Yeah, but let me finish this one. This is all I'm going to say.
Okay.
The desert knows more about water than the ocean does.
That's very philosophical.
Jason.
I don't know if I can follow up after that.
One. The desert knows more about water than the ocean.
Yeah, there we go. I just wanted to touch. There's been a lot of questioning about Goshen and the attorney funds for Green Township, and once again, I just want to reiterate, we're doing really well as far as we're on payment plans. We're not hurting. We've got it nestled into the budget, so we can maintain and we can still provide services. So we're okay there. And as a Goshen case either comes to a close or continues on, we still have a good plan moving forward. And the last thing I wanted to bring up is I'd like everybody to pray for Jim Peak and his family. He had some health issues just recently, and I'm not going to go into details on that, but he has put an immense amount of time and effort over the years into the community here, and just a guy with a wealth of knowledge and very concerned about what happens here in Big Rapids and Green Charter Township. And I just want to give a shout out to Jim and his family, and if you guys are out there saying prayers, please keep them in your prayers. So appreciate it.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. Bob, anything we need to close with?
Nothing from me.
Do you now consider Jason and I the guardians of masculinity?
Always.
I have to apologize to your audience because, boy, we covered a lot here in this a little bit.
We did.
And so I hope they're all
but it's
still
good to get
awake.
the community caught up on things because they don't come to the meetings,
right?
And so, but they are invited and urged to come to the meetings.
Yes.
So when are your next meetings? What do we do that? Close that on that.
Well, Big Rapids Township meetings are the Thursday of every month. And the hall where people vote. Jason?
Yep, and we are every the second Tuesday of every month at 6 p.m. We call to order. Tonight there'll be at 6 o'clock. There's going to be a zoning commission meeting.
And so
open to the public. Open to the public
all of
at
these
6.
Things, there's no secrets.
Yep. So there's no secrets. Yeah. So there we go.
Very good. Yep.
Thanks, Bob.
All right.
Thanks for having us, Bob.
Bruce Borkowitz, Jason Cruz, thank you so much for being with us, and look forward to more of these sessions. It's always good to get caught up on what's happening in the township. So,
well, you're not asleep yet, Bob, so we might have done all right. You know?
I didn't see you
I got my
dozing
coffee. Yeah.
Sure, you got to know the coffee's strong today.
Of course.
Sure.
Motivational beverage. All right. Well, thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate you coming in here on Curry's Corner, and be with us again next Tuesday. So if you miss him, he will be here all the way till 10:30 or so, and he decides to stop. But anyway, thank you again, and we appreciate it. It's B1039.
Come on, Betsy. Just one more mile. Is your car still acting like it's in the middle of a blizzard? The Spring into Something Better event going on now at Paris Auto Sales. Winter is over, and your frozen solid commute should be too. Stop apologizing to your passengers and upgrade to a ride that actually knows it's 2026. Come check us out at our north or south locations. Paris Auto Sales, your used car center of Big Rapids.
Paris Auto Sales, we work for you.